I still remember the first time I saw that little girl. Cold wind whipping around her as she stood at the counter of a fancy pharmacy on the west side of town, holding a crumpled prescription with both hands like it was the last lifeline she had. She couldn't have been more than 8, wearing a coat 2 sizes too big, shoes barely holding together. I was just another customer that day, head down, coffee in hand, but something about her trembling shoulders made me stop in my tracks. She whispered to the cashier, voice so soft you had to lean in to catch it. "Please. My mom needs this medicine." The woman behind the counter, glasses perched low on her nose, name tag shining under the LED lights, looked at her like she was some kind of inconvenience. $743, she snapped loud enough for the whole line to hear. No insurance, no service. The girl's lower lip trembled. She dug into her little coin purse, pulling out quarters and dimes, laying them out one by one on the counter. You could see her doing the math in her head, knowing it wouldn't be enough, but hoping anyway. The cashier smirked, scooped the coins into her palm, and dropped them back on the counter with a metallic clatter. "This isn't a charity," she said. A couple of people behind me laughed under their breath. One even took out a phone to film. That's the moment that flipped a switch in me. I wasn't going to walk out of there and pretend I didn't see it. I walked up to the counter, picked up the prescription she'd just tossed in the trash, and slid it back to the girl. "I've got this," I said quietly. The cashier straightened, suddenly polite. "Sir, do you know how much this costs?" "Doesn't matter," I told her, sliding my black card across the counter. Her eyes flicked from the card to my face, then to the logo stitched on my hoodie. She clearly didn't recognize me, just another guy in a hoodie, beard, too long hair messy. But I could see her trying to figure out how she'd gone from rolling her eyes at a kid to ringing up an order for someone she couldn't quite place. The girl stared at me like she wasn't sure if I was real. "Why are you helping me?" she asked, voice shaking. I crouched down to her level, looked her in the eyes. "Because once upon a time nobody helped me," I said, and I meant it. When the bag of medicine slid across the counter, she clutched it like gold. I held out my hand. "Come on, let's get you home." She hesitated, then slipped her small fingers into mine. Her name was Layla, and her mom was waiting in a dim apartment 5 blocks away. Paint peeling off the walls, heater making a weak buzzing sound, a stack of unpaid bills on the table. Her mother, Tasha, lay on the couch, pale and sweating, but her eyes lit up when she saw that medicine. She tried to stand, but almost collapsed. Who are you?" she whispered. "Just someone who's been where you are," I said. I helped her take the first dose, poured her a glass of water, and tried not to show how angry I was inside. See, people assume if you're a billionaire, you live on another planet. They think you were born in some marble mansion trust fund waiting. They don't picture the nights sleeping in cars, the jobs that paid cash under the table, the times you had to lie about your address just to get a chance. I'd built an empire from nothing, and somewhere along the way, I'd almost forgotten what it felt like to be invisible. Layla reminded me. Next morning, I sent a doctor from my foundation to check on Tasha, paid off the back rent, stocked the fridge. It should have ended there, quiet help, no headlines. But somebody in that pharmacy had filmed the whole scene and posted it. By noon, it was everywhere. Unknown billionaire saves little girl in pharmacy showdown. My phone blew up with texts from PR people, lawyers, old friends. "You've got to control this narrative," they said. "You'll look like you're grandstanding," they warned. I didn't care. But the attention brought vultures. City inspectors showed up at Tasha's door talking about code violations. A developer named Victor Haynes, big shot real estate guy who'd been trying to buy up that block for years, started spreading rumors about her being unfit to parent, about me doing it for optics. Layla came home from school crying because kids were teasing her pharmacy girl, they called her. My gut clenched. I knew this pattern too well. Smear pressure displacement. One night I sat with Tasha at her kitchen table, the city skyline glowing through the cracked blinds. "They're going to keep coming," she said quietly. "They always do." I took a breath. "Then we don't hide," I told her. "We fight." She looked at me like I was speaking another language. But then her shoulders squared a little, like she wanted to believe me. We started small. A legal team. A neighborhood meeting in a church basement. Free medical screenings through my foundation. Layla stood at the front of the room holding a sign she'd made herself, crooked letters and marker, "You can't erase us." Cameras showed up. Reporters. Soon it wasn't just about Layla and Tasha. People who'd been evicted or harassed started telling their stories. Videos went viral. The city council had to respond. Victor Haynes wasn't going to go down easy. He launched a smear campaign against me, leaked photos of me from my past, tried to paint me as a fraud. One night at a press event, he came up behind me, hissed in my ear, "You're out of your depth, old man. I own this city." I turned, smiled just enough for the cameras. "You don't own her," I said, nodding at Layla across the room. "And that's enough." He blinked, realizing too late the mic was still live. The showdown came at City Hall. Hundreds gathered on the steps, some holding signs with Layla's name, some holding candles. Riot police lined the barricades, shields gleaming under streetlights. Tasha stepped up to the podium, hands shaking but voice steady. She told her story, how she'd been sick, how her daughter begged for medicine, how no one helped until someone finally did. The crowd went quiet. Then Layla climbed up beside her mom, held up that same crooked sign. Cameras flashed. Something cracked in the air. One by one, officers lowered their shields. Inside the building, evidence of Victor's schemes was being played on a projector, emails, shell companies, kickbacks. He tried to leave out a back door, but reporters caught him. By nightfall, he was in custody. The next morning, the city announced a freeze on all evictions in that district and launched an investigation into housing corruption. I wish I could tell you everything got wrapped up in a neat bow. It didn't. 6 months later, Tasha was still fighting health issues. Layla still had nightmares, and the system still tried to find new ways to push people out. But there was also a new clinic on the corner, a community garden where an empty lot used to be, and a mural of Layla holding that sign, "You can't erase us," painted across a brick wall 3 stories high. Sometimes at night I stand on the sidewalk across from that mural, hands in my pockets, listening to the city hum. People walk by, point up at it, take pictures. Some know the story. Some just see a painting. Layla runs up to me, sometimes taller now, eyes brighter, tells me about her grades, her friends. I think about the day in the pharmacy, how a single act can turn into a movement if you refuse to look away. And here's the part that stays with me, the part I can't shake. When we were standing on those City Hall steps, cameras flashing, people chanting, Layla tugged on my sleeve and whispered, "Do you think they'll still hate us tomorrow?" I knelt down, looked her in the eyes and said, "They might, but tomorrow we'll still be here." That's the story. That's how a little girl with a crumpled prescription taught me more about courage than any boardroom ever did. If you've watched this far, tell me in the comments, have you ever seen someone get treated like they don't matter? Did you step in or did you look away? Do you think our system helps people like Layla or crushes them? Share your own stories. Let's see how many of us refuse to look away next time. And if you believe no child should have to beg for medicine, hit like, subscribe, and pass this on. Someone out there needs to hear it.